Well, my name is Alex. My name is Alex Froome. I'm actually an actor. I've been an actor for many years. I actually stopped about 5 years ago, just for various reasons. I needed a break. This is my first time directing film. I have written before. I've written a one-man play. I've also written another short film, which I'm going to make after this one. It's called The Exiled. I'm from a little village in Reading called Mortimer. I'm a farmer's son, and I live on a farm at the moment. I live in this lovely cabin on a farm in Reading that was actually farmed by my father, my grandfather, and my great-great-grandfather, and all my ancestors. And here I am in 2022 making a short film. Well, the original title I had for it was really, I thought, quite pretentious. I think I called it something like Grief's Dance or Grief's Never-Ending Dance. I don't know. I was stabbing in the dark, to be honest. But anyway, so I knew I didn't like that. And when I wrote I think the second to last draft, when I was really getting somewhere with it. I remember I was driving to work, and I was trying to sort of distill it down to its kind of essence. What is it? And I'm actually not quite sure how I got there, but there's a song called Love and Hate, which I was listening to at the time, and I just thought there's something really simple about that, just love and hate. And the sort of love, hate, love, and you kind of have the kind of love bookending what's sort of in the middle. It was very much about the cyclical nature of it, and they're so closely interlinked. And if you really look at any kind of conflict or anything really that happens, and you really kind of pull it apart to its bare bones, it's really, I know this sounds a bit sort of cliche to say, but it is really about love, or a lack thereof, or a want of love, or a resentment that somebody else has something that we don't have, and which can bring up feelings of anger and resentment and hatred and hurt, because something that's pure and lovely has been attacked or compromised in some way. So it's just, I suppose it's the dance between the two. I hope that it does talk about love and what it means, and what we can do about it. The inspiration for the screenplay came from a documentary I saw many years ago about an Irish teenager called Phoebe Prince. And she moved to America with her family, and she enrolled in a school there, and she was bullied relentlessly, and unfortunately Phoebe took her own life. So what really sort of caught me about this story, this real tragedy, was the kind of aftermath of what happened afterwards. And one of the things that happened afterwards is some of the students there, I don't know who, but they set up a Facebook page kind of celebrating the fact that this girl had taken her own life, and there was such sort of cruelty after the event. And there was a big inquest and a huge sort of outcry in the local community. And the thing that really struck me was the teenagers. I think there was a group of about 5 or 6 of them, and of those teenagers, there were maybe about 2 of them who showed real, genuine remorse about what they'd done, and there were floods of tears, and you could see that they had a lot of regret about what had happened. But then there were others who showed no emotion at all, who just didn't cry, didn't feel sorry or bad for what they'd done, which I found really shocking. So I suppose the inspiration really came from is like, well, these teenagers are going to have to grow up and grow into adults and function in the world. And I kind of really asked myself the question, well, how do they reconcile themselves to that? How do they go on living with their lives, having jobs, careers, families, relationships, all the while knowing that they'd push somebody to such a point that they felt their only option was to end their lives? How do you live with that? So it really kind of stemmed from that, and also this idea of suicide is a terrible, terrible tragedy, and you always leave behind a terrible legacy for the people left behind. So I really want to explore what it might be like for one of those young people if they got to a point further on in their life where they really start to address what they've done, and how would they deal with it? What would they do? Can they forgive themselves? Should they forgive themselves? So in terms of writing about experience, this story isn't autobiographical. I was bullied at school and had a pretty unpleasant time at school. I also did a couple of things at school that I'm not proud of. Nothing to the extent that what Phoebe Prince went through, but there's a couple of things I look back on and I think, oh, was that me? That wasn't a nice thing to do. And I feel really bad about it. And I just thought, well, if that person that I'd said that thing to or done that thing to, if they'd ended their own life, I couldn't live with myself. I'd find that really hard. So yeah, it was just something I wanted to explore, and I'm just very interested in these notions of taking responsibility for our actions. And we've all done things that perhaps we shouldn't have done, or said things we shouldn't have said, and I think it's quite hard for us as human beings to be able to just stand accountable for what we've done and hold our hands up. And I just think it's a very interesting thing to talk about. And in terms of just writing from experience generally, I haven't done a lot of writing, but I've written a one-man play, which I also performed. I'm also an actor as well. And again, it wasn't autobiographical. The story was made up, but there were certain elements in it which were from my life and certain experiences that I had. And I suppose a certain feeling I would put into my writing. I think that's the best way I can put it. And with this short film, it was that sense of, God, if I'd done something like that, and I'd gone to the mother of a girl that I'd bullied who'd committed suicide, what would I say? How would I deal with that situation? Why would I do that? That's kind of the inspiration behind the story. So as an actor, I'm really interested in people and why they are the way they are. And I think it's always quite interesting to, if as an actor, if you're playing somebody who's like an unlikable character or does unlikable things, as an actor you have to sort of find the kind of whys and wherefores of why somebody might be behaving like that. And I always love the saying, there are no angry, evil or aggressive people, just unhappy ones. So I think it was that really that sort of got me thinking about it. And with both of these characters in this film, they're both in pain. They're both really struggling, and for completely different reasons. And without giving too much away, both of them, have behaved pretty badly towards other people. But the film isn't about making a judgment call about that. It's more about understanding, which is hard to do. It's hard to look at somebody who does unspeakable things, or is a bully, or is nasty, or is unpleasant, and kind of see beyond that and see that person who is hurting. So that's what really interests me, and I always really enjoy theatre or film or performances where you see an actor who can do that, who can create somebody unpleasant, but there's always something about that character that you feel sorry for. And I think we really need that in the arts. We need it in the world. We need to look further. We need to look further than our screens, and we need to see what's going on with people. And everybody's struggling and dealing with things that we know nothing about. And I think as artists, writers, filmmakers, actors, we have a duty to do that. I think that's really important, and hopefully that's what this film does as well. I just really love any kind of film or theatre that connects with an audience, that says something to an audience, and can make somebody go away and think about it afterwards. And that's really important to me. And my ambitions for this film is that I'd like it to make people feel something and have an opinion about it and have a discussion about it afterwards. I'm probably not the right thing to say, but I'm not after Oscars or anything like that, or even winning awards or anything. It's just really important to me for a story to connect, to make a connection with an audience. I think there's nothing better than that.